Welcome back to The Watch, and as many people online know, Lord of the Rings, the trailer... No, this is the Rings of Power. Rings of Power. That's what I have when I eat Mexican food.
Oh.
There's an image in my head. I can't get it. It's stuck there now.
One ring to rule them all.
It's probably not the best title. But they are, I mean, look, I probably won't rag on the title too much because they are literally called the Rings of Power. And so,
Yeah.
Anyway, trailer's been released and there's been discussion.
That's a bit of a... I'd say that's the wrong phrase to
What
use.
what phrase would you use? Oz?
There have been one side who have just been endlessly saying the same thing over and over again, right? And then there's been some other people commenting, evil cannot create or destroy,
There's a lot to say, and we have a lot to say, and so we want to talk about the larger discussion, but also react with you to the trailer, because I have seen heaps of images, already listened to lots of commentary on it, but purposely haven't watched the trailer yet. So,
you haven't watched the trailer yet?
I have not watched the trailer yet, because
Enjoy.
I want to do it with you guys right here. And then we have a lot to talk about. Before we even get into it, just because I'm aware of the larger discussion.
What we're going into, yeah.
I just want to, it's so dumb that we even need to say this. That's the defense for this show has been so vile and disingenuous, where they've been attacking anyone who has criticism against this. And to shut all that bullcrap down, I would just like to say my favourite female action hero is Alita Battle Angel. Absolutely brilliant. And in actual fact, I think her gender is essential for the character and story that they have in Alita Battle Angel. It's actually called Battle Angel. I like it. It's a play on that fact that she's so beautiful, she's so delicate and gentle, and she's got
graceful.
all these, she's really graceful, all these sensibilities, all these things. It's tied very much in with her femininity, okay? And if you changed her gender, you wouldn't have Alita Battle Angel. Like, what would be a male name? Aletto. Is that a male? Aletto Battle Brute or something. You wouldn't have
Alito Battle Bro.
Battle Bro.
Dude, I want to watch that now.
But it wouldn't be Alita Battle Angel. And all the fans of Alita Battle Angel rightly just... So, changing the gender of a pre-established character can make it something that it's not. Okay,
Yeah.
And the fans of the original version obviously can be rightly ticked off. Favorite gay character is Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, yeah.
I love Captain Holt.
And he's black too, so two birds with one stone.
All right, absolutely. And favorite entire show, or one of my favorites, ones that I've enjoyed, made entirely of another race, where there is not one person that looks like me in the show. I really enjoyed Squid Game. I really have enjoyed the live action adaptation for Rurouni Kenshin. That's wholly Japanese and wholly Korean. I have been able to identify with Rurouni Kenshin. Is Japanese, doesn't look like me at all. But I'm not racist. This is the thing. I actually feel people who need to see someone that looks like them are so obsessed with race that they're actually racist if they think that they can't identify with a show that has people of other skin tones and backgrounds to them. Like, seriously, if you cannot identify with the human nature of an individual if they are a different skin tone to you, you are an absolute friggin' racist, okay? And to say that you have to have your representation because that helps you... I've been able to identify on a deep connected level with many characters that look completely different to me because guess what? They're humans, they're people, they have lived experiences. And one of the really moving things about that I've loved in the Rurouni Kenshin story is his desire to be better and his guilt for his crimes that he committed in the past. And it's a beautiful story of repentance and redemption. And it resonates with me on a deep level because I want to be better, okay? We all do things that we regret in the past. We all have guilt. And so those themes in Rurouni Kenshin are powerful and deep. And to say that I would connect better with him if he looked like me. It was so racist. I can't believe it. Anyway, those are mine, guys. What's yours?
I disagree with this entire thing, but I'll do it anyway.
Why do you disagree with it?
Well, because I feel like, one, we're playing on their terms if we do that, where we're doing attack and defense when we should either be doing one or the other, committing out. Anyway, and I guess that's it. I should be able to give my word that I'm not, racist in the way that they think.
You should. If
I shouldn't have to be like, no, here's the evidence. It's not a court trial.
But it does point out their own hypocrisy.
They don't care about that.
Well, that's... At least people who do care about it will be able to see it, though. That's why it's good to point it out.
If I'm fighting an enemy and my bullets bounce off them, I'm not going to keep shooting them. I'm going to find whatever actually does damage.
No, but see, I don't think a lot of these extreme people they won't change their views. But the people who are observing the conflict, they will be able to, and that's why we do it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, favorite female action hero, Ripley from Aliens. She's the Viking mother archetype. Favorite black character is probably Simon Phoenix from Demolition Man, the villain, because even he recognized, even though he was this bad psychopath, he even recognized that you can't take away people's right to be an arsehole. And the villain, the true villain, Dr. Cocteau, who wanted to create the perfect utopia, even he couldn't recognize that. And my favorite gay character, probably Jack from Will and Grace. He was pretty hilarious. That guy's funny.
My favourite action hero woman is probably going to be Ramona Flowers. Now, in the movie, she isn't as good, but in the comics, and they kind of convey it in the movies as well, that she's this attractive, she's effeminate, she's sought after by all these exes as well, but the new guy too, but she has her weaknesses, so she can be, a previous ex later comes and grabs her and she's like, oh, okay, I'll go along with you. But she also has this kick-ass attitude. When there's a fight, she'll come out and, give some punches and stuff. And so there's some good...
Of course, you love Ramona Flowers. You look like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why I liked it. TV show or movie, me and my wife love watching Blackish. So about a black family. Still have people in it, but the core culture of the show is of black culture. And the same with Fresh Off the Boat, about this Chinese family, which are all hilarious. But you guys also mentioned some really good shows, like Squid Game.
Well, the reason why I wanted to preface all this, right, is that sometimes you have a show that's inherently tied to a cultural and ethnic identity. All right? And just because it is, doesn't mean people from other cultures can't identify with those people. And honestly, if you feel you can't because there's a difference in cultural ethnicity, you're a bigot or a racist. Like, that you need to figure some stuff out, okay? I mean, I grew up watching The Cosby Show, and separate to the actor and what's come out recently, I was able to enjoy it. Like, who, honestly, there are, like, I think there might have been some people, maybe in the past, who said, it's a black show, can't watch it with some bad words in it and stuff. Yeah, they would be racist, all right?
Well, no, there's a difference between that. Okay, so, like, let's say someone put on an Indian show, and you're not a fan of Indian culture, just in the way it's all set up. It's a caste system for one.
Well, I mean, for instance, I don't like Bollywood movies.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, actually, some are flipping hilarious, I've seen. But, like, I don't like a lot of the dancing and stuff like that. I don't get into the stereotypical Bollywood kind of movies. All right, it's nothing to do with their skin tone.
Okay,
it's just the type of movie and show. Okay,
but
that is more largely represented in Bollywood.
I don't like watching those racial derogatives. Sure, that would be racist, but any other reason they want to give.
Yeah, it's fine if they just said I didn't like the humor in the Cosby Show. Well, what's horrible about this type of stuff, right, is that it feels like you can't. It's like when Black Panther came out and anyone who criticized it was a racist. Black Panther was pretty crap. It wasn't a great movie, honestly.
You know what was a great movie? They had tons of black people in it. White Men Can't Jump. Have you seen that?
No.
With, Woody Harrelson and who was it?
I've seen parts
Leslie
of it.
Snipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a basketball movie. Great movie. Yeah, anyway.
So, again, this is all preface because Lord of the Rings, all right, was written to be inherently tied to a cultural and ethnic background. Tolkien specifically wanted to write it as an English Anglo-Saxon mythology. He wanted to create a mythology, and he drew from folklore and legends of this specific culture to create Lord of the Rings. That's where it comes from. That's why it looks the way it looks, okay? And this is what people are having a problem with this new trailer, because they have changed certain things.
Invented. So they've
Have
outright contradicted the source material.
Exactly. And some of the things that they're saying is that they wanted it to reflect the real world, and that they wanted like themselves, if they are a different cultural background, to be represented in the show.
Yeah.
You know, it frustrates me because I just had a thought. Okay, in Australia we watch like a lot of American TV.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that if I don't like American TV, or if I see a show and there's not Australians in it and Australian culture, does that make me not? Is that a problem then? Because, for example, there's so much things in the American culture we don't understand, and I can't see myself in that show. Does that mean I can't enjoy that show because I don't see any Australians in it? Like, even just stepping back from the whole race and other stuff, it's like just culturally. Is that a problem as well?
Yeah. I mean,
should I demand, Aussie Hannah Montana or something?
Well, the funny thing is, right, sometimes shows are made in countries, and then the other country wants to make a copy of that show with their culture
like
and
The
their own
Office.
twist. Exactly. I was going to say The Office. One that actually was done in Australia first and then tried to copy was a show called Kath and Kim.
Yeah.
But the American version was horribly bad. Unbelievably bad. And I'm not even a fan of Kath and Kim. It's not my type of humor. I found it cringeworthy, right? But it was really popular in Australia.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you that certain cultures appreciate certain types of humor or shows more than other cultures. It's like Bollywood really loves a lot of the dancing and stuff. It's not my thing, all right? And so I don't think it's a bad thing if another culture wants to do their own reinterpretation of it.
Yeah.
Not to replace or to change the original. I mean, the UK office still exists. They do, and what I loved is then they brought in UK office characters into the US office ones, and that's a way to support both. Okay, with this Lord of the Rings, they're actually trying to change fundamental history. Like, this is supposed to be in the same universe, and it's not a thing of appreciation and I don't know. Sometimes I can get it if they want to make it more appealing to a cultural thing, but then if they want to change something, and the only thing they change is really the skin tone.
Oh, that won't be the only thing they change. They're going to change entire story, and they already have. You see it in the trailer. They change entire storylines and characters, and their characteristics, just to be woke. Mm-hmm. They will have this. I'm calling it now. Either the elf or the black dwarf lady. They will say like, "Oh, there's a threat coming. We need to be ready for it. We need to fight." And then the man characters in the room will be like, "That's ridiculous." They'll degrade her and everything like that. And guaranteed.
Things that I've already changed in the trailer. And look, we'll probably save the watch through last because I'm enjoying the conversation first. We already know, they have injected races that weren't present in Middle-earth's history.
Yeah.
And they've also changed character backgrounds where we see Galadriel in this armor warrior woman loadout.
Where she was a politician.
And then they've made Elrond, who was a warrior, into this politician, effeminate-looking...
Looks like he just got out of high school.
And did you say he was meant to look the same how he does in the original movies?
So elves get to like a certain age and then they stop aging completely, right? Elrond had looked the exact same as we saw him in Lord of the Rings for the past 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is set 3,000 years before Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. He should look like this the exact same way as he did when we saw him. It's just ridiculous.
So there's something that I think a lot of the defenders of this trailer don't understand, okay? They're trying to say that there's nothing wrong with diversity and inclusion and everything. And if that was just the only thing, that's great. There's nothing wrong with diversity, all right? It's when it's force-injected.
I disagree.
What do you mean?
By its definition, diversity and inclusivity are bad things. I can explain why.
No, when I say that, there's nothing wrong with... when I say there's nothing wrong with diversity, I mean there's nothing wrong with movies that have a broad range of ethnicities in it.
Yeah,
just because it is. There's nothing wong with that, okay?
But inclusivity, by its definition, is
by
bad,
forcing it.
No, not even by forcing it. By saying we need inclusivity. Okay, so exclusivity is better because then you only go for the best.
Yeah, you're
That's
talking
why-
about meritocracy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and
But
diversity.
not excluding on the grounds of race, but excluding on the grounds of who can do the best job.
Well, I mean,
Well, no, a good example, okay, and I brought this up before. The movie Gundy.
yeah,
It was played by Ben
Kingsley.
Kingsley. It's a phenomenal movie.
yeah.
Okay?
He's got a multi-ethnic look to him anyway.
He actually shockingly looked like Gundy.
Yeah.
They made him look really well like Gundy.
And then they made him look like Osama bin Laden in Iron Man 3.
All right? And so I do not care if an actor plays a different race. Okay? What I care about is the character looking and being depicted as the character is supposed to look and depict like. All right? I am annoyed, just as annoyed about the casting of Nathan Drake.
Oh, man, yeah.
That's another video right there.
So contrary and different to
Yeah.
the character, all right, as I am when they change, I don't know, Snow White from being pale skin. She's literally
was-
called Snow White.
But not even that, right? Not even that. Have you seen the picture of Snow White versus the evil stepmother?
No.
So Snow White, the evil stepmother was jealous of Snow White because of her beauty. She was like the
Mm-hmm.
most beautiful, much more beautiful than the evil stepmother. The evil stepmother is played by Gal Gadot. And this other lady, this Mexican lady, is like pudgy compared to her. She's this like sculpted goddess lady, and there's this pudgy Mexican lady.
All right, so I'm as annoyed when to me, it's all about just having the character, the actor embody the character. And to me, Nathan Drake, Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake, is a bigger miss
so
than
bad.
even the Snow White casting, okay? But then there are times you can cast an actor who has a different skin tone to the character, but they embody the character so perfectly in all the other aspects, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And my go-to example I've used at heaps is the Kingpin in the original Daredevil movie.
Yeah.
Michael Clarke Duncan to play the original Kingpin because
Yeah.
of his size. The
Yeah.
Kingpin is supposed to be massive.
And think about the word character, right?
Mhm.
The reason we have casting is because that person, that actor, embodies characteristics of the character. Michael Clarke Duncan was a force.
Yes.
Rest his soul. He is yeah. And Nathan Drake casting Tom Holland. I prefer the casting of the Halo TV series than I do to Tom Holland as Nathan Drake.
Is so miscast. It's unbelievable. And so when people have a problem with this type of casting, it's actually not really about race. It's about embodying and representing the character correctly. That's why there wasn't an outcry when they changed the race of Kingpin. But in other instances, there is an outcry when they change race because they it's such a divergence to the original character. Where's the character? We want to see this thing, and when we see him, we just think that's the character.
I wish we could have kept Michael Clarke Duncan as Kingpin. He's much better than Vincent D'Onofrio, even though he's a great actor.
He does, well, yeah. That's a tough one because the new one does do a good job. I do. admit.
Yeah. I feel like he overdoes it a little bit, though, in terms of drama. Anyway,
So,
like, we're all still complaining about Elrond, you know? No one likes Elrond's casting in this.
yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like the original Elrond at all. Elrond's supposed to be a warrior.
He's supposed to be this tall, you know, wise warrior king, basically, and warrior scholar king. Now he just looks like he's some twink at the library. It's so cringe. It's absolute cringe. Looks like he's a member of One Direction.
Because the defenders of the show think that the objections to these changes are all like, you're sexist, you don't like warrior women or action women, you don't like, people of other ethnicities being in these roles. It's not that at all. That's why I started off with pointing out all the things that we like. It's not, we love female action heroes or anything like that. What we want is a story that a adaptation that accurately depicts and represents what it's supposed to be. The source material and everything. And the other thing is, a lot of the fans don't actually have a problem with changes that don't subvert the purpose, underlining things. There was a lot of changes in the Lord of the Rings movies from the books.
Yeah, there were.
Okay.
And some controversial.
Massive.
People were like,
Some were controversial. There's one change that I've never heard anyone, not a single person, complain.
What?
Right? It's Aragorn's sword.
What about it?
His sword that he uses in the first book when he's introduced is broken. He holds and uses the broken sword.
Yeah. That's because it's part of a greater change they did to Aragorn's character. He had the duty, I'm going to be king. He wasn't like, I don't want to be king.
Yeah. Okay. So they changed a fundamental thing about the character, and they also gave him a proper sized sword, so it would look better in the fight scenes as well. Awesome.
Yeah, and also Denethor wasn't insane and evil.
Okay.
What else? Tom Bombadil completely cut, even though he's like this eldritch god being of the forest.
So fans actually don't have a problem with certain changes, all right? The changes need to be done with a lot of care and consideration, and if they're bad changes, the way you find out they're bad, we actually see, the product, we can tell, right? Then we can determine what was better in the source material, what was this, and also a lot of fans sometimes will, acknowledge that this is an adaptation for a film. Certain things obviously need to be changed, but then there are changes that contradict very important things, and that's where we have a big problem with. Okay, and so I don't mind changes if they are capable of being improvements. I do think an adaptation can improve on the source material, but I'm not racist enough to think that if you change the skin tone of someone in the story, it automatically becomes better.
Yeah,
that is a racist belief.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitionally.
It is by definition.
Yeah.
But the reason why people are getting so bent out about the trailer is that the trailer reveals this is the mindset of the creators that are making it. That they think because they think the Lord of the Rings show will be objectively better because now it has different races to the source material, which is an inherently racist view.
Also, the black guy who plays the elf, he plays a grey elf, which Arch informs me is actually the palest of elves.
Most palest of elves.
Yeah. Just like, remember Thor?
Mm-hmm.
Heimdall?
Yeah.
He's known as the White God in Norse mythology.
Well, just as an additional thing, the other time when people don't have a problem with changes is when the original character is so unknown that people are just not informed enough to realise that, it's a change.
Yeah.
I think this was actually the case with Nick Fury. A lot of the comic book people who knew Nick Fury knew and was aware of the race change. But a couple of things, right? For me, at least, Nick Fury was always a bit of a bland character. There wasn't huge character. He had character. He was always this stern kind of guy. But Samuel L. Jackson is such a great actor.
Yeah.
He was able to bring so much to the role that I think people were happy with the change.
Yeah, in the comics when he was white, I was always mistaking him for Mr. Fantastic. Because he just looked almost identical to me.
With an eye patch?
Yeah, with an eye patch. Like, what happened to his eye?
Again, so there are levels to when fans will respond to changes to the original character, and one of them is when the character is either already bland, can be improved upon with changing, or just simply so unknown that it goes under the radar. And, I think people wouldn't have reacted or responded very strongly if they changed the race of Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad, because it's basically an unknown character.
But I'm just thinking, right, like, if you're a follower of Norse mythology at all, you're looking at Heimdall thinking, oh, well, that just goes against my culture. It
does, actually. Like that one is like Norse mythology is distinctly Scandinavian in ethnicity.
It's also different as well because when you look at comic books, they obviously have iterations and different flavors. Where with this especially, it's like you have this very distinct lore. And how many iterations have we had of Lord of the Rings?
One.
Like one. And even then the changes are very few.
Yes.
One iteration to rule them all.
And also kind of going back on, just to finish off the thought that I was saying, when people either have an issue with changes or when they don't have an issue with changes, if the change is very important to the character's identity, we will have an issue with it, okay? I don't think the race of Nick Fury was that important, but honestly, the racial change actually brought more character, and Samuel L. Jackson brought certain features that are more stereotypically identified with...
Yeah, suave to him.
Yeah, suave, and he was like, brought the rocks up in and just took it, like stuff like that, where he actually he channels the Samuel L. Jacksonness. There are aspects to a character that is very much tied to their cultural background, their ethnicity. This is why you can't change the gender of Alita Battle Angel, completely different character. This is why I don't think you should change Ariel from being a redhead. That was very much tied to how she looks. Like how could you think of the Little Mermaid as anyone else apart from this redheaded character?
In The Witcher season 2 and season 1, they literally put tons of white makeup on these black actresses and straightened out their hair and dyed it red and blonde and all that.
I mean, the casting of Triss in Witcher was the most biggest miscasting ever.
And then in season 2, they make her pale and straighten her hair.
And try and make her hair look a bit more reddish.
They did the same thing with an elven queen in Witcher 2 season Witcher as well. They paled her skin, and I think they gave her blonde hair or really straight hair. when you look at her actress pictures, like from events and stuff, she's black.
Yeah, redheads are a sticking point, right?
They keep getting replaced.
Because you can change Nick Fury to black with not much of a jarring thing because his hair color is not a big identifier to his character. It's the eye patch. His eye patch, his demeanor, his stature, that's what personifies that character. But when you have a character that's like a glowing redhead, right?
Yeah.
That is such a strong visual indicator that it's identified now their character, just like the eye patch. It's like removing the eye patch from Nick Fury.
It's like removing the ginger from the Weasleys. Yeah. If you made them poor and black, well, that's a stereotype. Kind of that.
Right? But it's true. It's true. And so that's the issue with redheads, because you can't really change, or you shouldn't be able to, you'll never be able to change a redheaded character to black, because you change the hair color, and that then
they do that.
The identifying visual signifier is now completely different, and that's why people get so more bent out of shape when you change redheaded characters to people of other cultures.
They
right?
do that often, though.
They do. Redheads are being wiped out from pop culture. There's like this huge list of all these redheads that are being race changed.
Never thought I'd die fighting side by side with a redhead.
I am a honorary ginger. Okay.
I'm constantly mistaken for one too. Do you have any idea how many times I'm mistaken for Ed Sheeran? People come up to me like, "Hey, are you Ranger, by the way?" I'm like, "No. What is it? Is it this? Is it my hair? Is it my pale complexion? All of the above?"
And it's not that characters of darker skin can't exist in Lord of the Rings. There are races of darker skin in the world setting. The issue is changing the pre-established law for clear political reasons. So people are really getting bent out of shape with the trailer specifically because this is the obvious indication that they have already appropriated Lord of the Rings to push a political and cultural message.
Yeah, it's an attack, it's not the depiction, it's an attack.
And the trailer is proof. Like the biggest one for me isn't actually the Black Elf or Black Dwarf, it's Galadriel.
Yeah.
Yep, the fact that they made Galadriel a warrior woman and then they are weakening Elrond to be this, weak political man who's not a fighter, that's the biggest indicator for me that they are wanting to push a political, cultural message in this, and they are willing to take one of the most beloved properties, screw its own cultural and ethnic background, that it was made to be a story for everyone, obviously, but to reflect the mythology and history and culture of Anglo-Saxon history, right?
Yeah.
They don't care about that. They want to use something that's popular, because they don't have enough talent to make something good themselves. They want to take something that's already popular that has a lot of eyeballs on it.
Why is that? What's the quote there?
There's a quote that will explain this, what I'm getting at. We'll mention it in a sec.
Comment it down below.
Yes, we want to see that quote everywhere, right? They don't have enough talent to make it something good their own, so they want to but they want to spread the message to the largest group of people possible. So therefore, they need to find something that's already popular, that a lot of eyeballs thing, that then they can then they think they're going to be subtle, but they have no talent. That oftentimes it just is like a slap in the face to push that women strong or honestly stronger than men. And men should, and they depict how. Look, the biggest example of this recently is that was Wheel of Time, right? They did this in Wheel of Time when men are all weak and incompetent and need to be subservient to the women and stuff like. And I don't think that men should be, women should be subservient to men. I think it should be equal. But no, they don't want equal representation. They want supremacy. And so they want to push that message, and we see it with Galadriel and Elrond, right? But they also want to inject racial undertones to it, and there's going to be racial undertones. Like, this is the warning, and we've already made our predictions. I think there's going to be a larger kind of depiction to make certain evil aspects more understandable. The orcs and goblins, they're going to try and make the orcs and goblins a bit more relatable. Can't have, evil things.
I'm on the fence about what they'll do with the orcs and goblins.
Yeah,
we've had the left's interpretation of what the orcs and goblins are. They're meant to represent a particular race.
Which is such a racist view, it's unbelievable.
No one else brought it up.
Yeah, I know. Who could look at orc and think black person? It's like, you would have to have such a negative view of, African Americans to think there's enough connection to, oh, wow.
I look at orc and I just think run-of-the-mill American. That's just where...
I think orc, fantasy monster.
I think American. No. If I was to compare it to a race, it'd just be an American.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Black Friday sales.
Just the everyday savagery of them and the unculturedness.
I disagree. Disavow. Yeah, I know you're just being mean to get,
Yeah.
Australians are far more orc-like than Americans, I reckon.
No, we're too lazy to be
Well,
awful.
we're probably... No, hobbits or dwarves. Like the alcohol, the unruliness, mines.
Australia is a mine.
We are digging... we're
mine.
We're the dwarves.
We're dwarves.
Australians are dwarves. So they want to push those messages. They don't have the talent to make their own, so they need to take something that is already good, and then we come to that quote. You want to give it to us, Oz?
Nathan, can you give it to us?
No, you give it to us.
Okay. Evil cannot create or destroy. It can only corrupt. Wait, no. What
I think that's basically it.
No, I said cannot create or destroy. Evil cannot create.
You can only...
It can only destroy and corrupt what the good has made.
Who... Now, that's a... I don't think it's word for word, but it's close enough. It's a paraphrase. But where does that quote come from? J.R. Tolkien?
Yeah, not these people.
And so that's... This is why people are having outrage. And the trailer is the evidence. Like, this is where it's going. You don't respect the... If you don't respect the source material enough to inject your own politics, your own political views, your own way you think, things should be, your own representation stuff, you don't respect the source material.
I think it's a different thing. I think what we're... I think everyone's made this mistake, and I'm the only one that's seeing it because I'm a genius, right? So I feel like everyone is looking at the symptoms and saying, we have problems with these symptoms. But I don't think it's that. I think it's something deeper in them. We've seen for the past 5 or 6 years where woke stuff goes in our media, right? And Lord of the Rings is such a beloved work of... I mean, the movies are masterpieces, right? Same as the books, okay, for different reasons, right? We see something that basically everyone universally loves. Everyone. And we're like, oh, look at what they're going to do to it because we see the symptoms. And we have all of this backlog of all this stuff that's happened with
Wheel of Time,
everything that we've seen over the past 5 or 10 years.
I mean, do you want to try and list them off? Then there's Terminator, there's Ghostbusters,
Halo, Mass Effect, everything that we love that they touch, they destroy. And that's how we know. That's why we know that we saw these symptoms, and everyone was already bracing themselves like, yeah, it's probably going to suck because Amazon, right? We were all just waiting for it, and it's been confirmed for us. Not because of us just seeing those few things, but because we have the context of the last 5 or 6 years. There you go.
Because there is a rare gem now and then, I try and hold off judgment until I see some evidence, and we're seeing evidence now. But, we've got Arcane. Thank goodness. There's something good. By the way, Lord of the Rings, leather-bound, right there. And in actual fact, there's Silmarillion, and then The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, all leather-bound.
You get credit just for owning that. You don't even have to read it.
Yeah. And I've got the other another set of Lord of the Rings trilogy down there. It's love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in regards to what you were saying, okay, I get it. There's heaps of evidence to show this is where the world is going. All right. I like to see evidence, but now the trailer...
we saw
it's
evidence.
not an overreaction to the trailer. The trailer is evidence right there.
Okay, but we all braced ourselves for Arcane, right? Everyone's like, watch it, it's good. Well, it's Netflix, right? And 99% of the time, we'd be right to be like, oh, it's Netflix. It's going to suck because of all the stuff.
We would have been wrong about Arcane, though. So.
Exactly. That's my point, though. But, just because you've been wrong 1% of the time doesn't mean you can't brace yourself.
No, it doesn't mean. I agree. You can't. Yeah. And so we'll probably get to the trailer now.
I think the last argument I hate that everyone says defending this is that you should be happy getting content.
Yeah, consume next product.
Consume the product.
And get excited for the next one.
And I'm like, okay, if this is the case, I'm not going to pay a subscription service. I'm going to go on Facebook and watch those long-ass videos that never have a conclusion. That's content. TikTok is content. If I want endless content, I go somewhere else, trashy, free services to watch stuff.
You know the longest written work of fiction in human history is Sonic fan fiction.
I was going to say Les Mis, but okay.
No, that is there's a Sonic fan fiction on the internet that is actually categorized as the longest work of fiction ever penned by man.
Wow.
And it's probably written by Chris Chan. Okay? That's content right there. Go read that if it's all about content.
But see, before I go on to about my answer to that is such an odd fact that it might be true.
No, it is true.
So right now. I could often be skeptical of Oz's statements, but that one I'm willing to believe on. But you don't need to Google it. I'll trust you. The thing why people actually like prefer this crap over the Sonic fanfiction crap
Mhm.
is the polish.
Yeah.
It's fancy crap. It's a polished turd. They love the polish. They just want Lord of the Rings that looks pretty. They just want Star Wars that has Luke appearing. And oh, I remember Boba Fett. Do you remember Boba Fett? Like, people's standards, not everyone's, but a lot of people's standards, the consumers, all they need is flashy lights and they're happy.
Bit of fan service.
Yeah. And to me, that's like an abusive relationship.
You keep going back for
You
some.
keep going back, and they're just dangling some keys while shoveling crap into your mouth. And also, with that crap is oftentimes subversive, destructive, political messaging to try and change people's thinking. They want to educate you into their worldview. What's the worldview they're trying to push? Have a look at our previous Lord of the Rings video. Where we said it's going to be a disaster. We go into detail what they try and
I have
push
a
there.
correction to make. I was incorrect. So it's the world's longest fan fiction. The longest thing ever written is a non-fiction. It's got 9,609,000 words, whereas the fan fiction has 3,500,000 words.
Heck, even just to write 3 million words, that's impressive.
I don't even think I've said 3 million words. I know Shad has for a fact. But I haven't.
That was seriously, really good point. It's
Yeah,
like,
because that's all I saw with the arguments, because people were saying, pointing out what
it's
stuff they were
more
saying.
Lord of the Rings, don't
And they
you-
all just said, yeah, it's more of the same IP, just enjoy it for, like, you're getting some more, be happy with it.
Oh.
Waiter, there's a turd in my pizza.
It's
It's more pizza. What are you talking about? Just be happy
Exactly.
you've got your pizza.
It's the same with, because you're consuming the content, you want the things going into your body to be good for you.
Yeah.
And if it's
Eat
just
the turd,
garbage...
bigot.
Yes! That's the reaction!
Yeah.
So you are a bigot, racist, Nazi, all that crap, if you dislike this Lord of the Rings trailer. Because, it shows that they are ideologues, they just want power because they're not engaging with the true substance. I have not seen a single actual racist reaction to this trailer. It's all about, why have you changed the original lore of Lord of the Rings? And, I mean, seriously, I think it's good to have stories that embrace and try and exemplify and explore certain cultural heritages, all right? Like, Japanese can have it, Bollywood Indians can have it, Africans. Why can't Europeans, people of Anglo-Saxon heritage? This is an actual important point, right? Because this is actually my heritage. I think it's our heritage.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm Kiwi.
but see, further back, you're European. You have
Yeah.
European heritage. Same. My heritage is Irish, English, Scottish, and Welsh. All right. One of the reasons why I'm so invested, but intrigued by medieval history is it is my history. This is where my ancestors came from. And my ancestors, all their sacrifices brought me to, enabled me to be alive.
Yeah.
It's all credited to them. I want to know how they lived, what they lived like, and also want to know the mythologies and stories that they told.
I don't know if it's Nathan's culture, though. He looks a bit more olive.
Well, I'm half Dutch,
That
so we
didn't
tend
answer
a
the
bit more
question.
than you.
Really?
Half? Are you full-blooded half?
My dad's Dutch, yeah.
Oh, is full-blooded Dutch?
Full blood.
I never picked it.
You know, he
Really?
Because
migrated.
I just don't see race.
Yeah.
The Dutch are from Belgium, aren't they?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
And Holland and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm half Dutch, and then with my mum's side, we go back far. It's Aussie, and then it goes Scottish, and then probably goes through all the other Anglo-Saxon cultures. Yeah.
I mean, again, pointing out hypocrisy, okay? If someone changed, the race of T'Challa, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
in Black
Ryan
Panther,
Gosling as T'Challa.
Right? Right? They would, all the people defending Lord of the Rings, this group, would cry bloody murder.
Yeah.
Insanely so.
There were quotes about that from news sites where it's like, oh, Black Panther has a 99% black cast. It's the most diverse movie ever.
Right? That's not diversity.
To them it is.
Yeah, I know, right? It's diversity would be a mix, not mostly representative of one type.
Do you know why they do this, Shad? They say why they do this.
It's a power.
Kind of. They want to awaken they say this openly, right? They want to awaken the racial consciousness.
Yeah,
of
they want
white
to
people.
stoke racial tension in the world.
No,
Yeah.
not that. There's a difference. They want to awaken the racial consciousness of white people and black people.
Make
You
it
know
more
who
racist.
else wanted to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Nazis.
They want to make the world more racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They want to stoke racial division and increase it, and one by doing that is making people more sensitive about race. When wouldn't it be better if we just treated people like people regardless of their skin tone? Like, isn't that the true goal?
I'll treat people how they treat me. That's the only thing.
Yeah, regardless of skin tone.
I don't care
Yeah.
what, unless you're a multiple murderer, in which case I'll probably keep my
Yeah,
distance.
gross crimes.
Yeah, because that's action,
actions,
right? But
Judging
I'll
the
treat you the exact same way you treat me.
Mhm.
Unless you're a commie. In that case, get out of the helicopter. I don't care if we're 5,000 feet up. Get out.
So we've already seen these group of people already do the cry bloody murder thing. When What If was coming out, where they had like, what if so and so was there? Someone made a meme where they did like a somewhat convincing artwork in the same animation style, and it was what if Star-Lord was T'Challa, race changing, Black Panther. The amount of insane hate that post got, where people like, you are the most evil, vile racist. It was next level from these people. They are such hypocrites, where they actually don't care about what they say they're caring about.
Absolutely.
Okay, because they're not fine with injecting other races, because if you do it against the groups that they feel it's inappropriate, they will cry bloody murder.
Yeah.
Okay, it shows their bias, and what it is, it's against who they classify as white people. That's the reality. They will protect all the cultural heritage representation of every race under the sun, though Asians get a pretty tough part. They like to ignore Asians a lot.
Well, they consider Asians white people by
They're trying to push that now.
Who else considered Asians to be honorary white people?
All right. But they want to, it feels like they not only are okay with changes, anything that, it's like they want to attack cultural heritage. And I dislike the concept of white people. I think it's a racist idea because it lumps such a huge, diverse, different group of people with many different cultural backgrounds and different ethnicities, right, into one homogenous group, saying you're all the same. You all look the same, therefore you're all the same. I thought it's horrible. Like, oh my God. Whoopi Goldberg tried to do it recently.
What'd you say?
Where she was saying you can't be racist against white people, and she was trying to equate Jewish people as white people. So she was trying to say that the Holocaust wasn't racist. It's unbelievable how racist that was, what she was saying. Yeah. And the whole thing where, the racist attack when you say, accuse people where they're like, you think all black people look alike. It's like there's a lot of diversity with black cultures and upbringing. And that's true, all right? An African-American who grew up in Detroit is going to have a very different cultural upbringing to an African-American who grew up in Utah or the Obama daughters or something like that.
Or in Africa.
Right? And so, no, you shouldn't just think just because you look alike, therefore we can assume all these things about you like privilege and all that stuff. There's a lot of different cultural backgrounds, and if you go to history, and also when you look at difference in ethnicity in history and stuff like that, the Italian culture was very distinct and different to the Irish culture. Oh, very much so. But this racist idea of whiteness is a racist idea where you all look the same, you all have the same privilege, you're all lumped together, and then anything that is okay to attack, destroy, change, to the point where they literally try and misrepresent history. To me, the changes in Lord of the Rings, it's funny it's getting a bigger response. This isn't as offensive as when they depicted Anne Boleyn as black in a recent historical TV show. That's even more insulting to me about the blatant disregard for history. And if someone ever depicted a historical black monarch as a white person, they would cry bloody murder. They're hypocrites. They don't have standards. This shows that they're not led by moral standards. They're only led by trying to get power and subverting and destroying the hierarchy, the people that they think are at the top, and oftentimes they misidentify who's at the top and all that stuff. And by the way, hierarchies can be beneficial.
Hierarchies are beneficial.
Yeah, I mean,
everything in this
human
world.
culture, but not only human culture, this is the whole lobster thing with Jordan Peterson, because he says hierarchies are so fundamental in just biology that even lobsters have hierarchies.
Not even that. Every single thing that we can perceive exists in a hierarchy.
Seems like it. Even nature.
Yeah, even says some, like, less than 1% of sand in the world gets to see the sun.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So...
But it goes to the fundamental philosophies of class warfare and all that stuff where they're trying to push their thing because they want to be in power. They actually don't care. They say hierarchies are bad, but they want a hierarchy where they're in power.
Yeah, they just want to be in power.
Yeah. It's such just blatant evil on display, and we see it in media where they purposely go out of their way to change these things. This is the manifestation. This is actually the front lines of this cultural battle that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And now Lord of the Rings is the new thing on the sacrificial altar, but the problem is this time, unlike the Anne Boleyn thing that went under the radar because not a lot of people are aware of it, Lord of the Rings has a massive cultural awareness.
You know what it's like, man? It's like we've all been fighting this culture war for years, right? Mm-hmm. Our cities have been taken completely by the lefties, and then all of a sudden, we hear the normies on the horizon with their horns and horses. Rohan has come. You know, like
that's the thing. Most people don't care about the culture war until it starts to affect them.
Yep, I have Sauron's on them. I've been saying that the whole time. I have Sauron, man. It's Lord of the Rings.
And for me, it's been affecting a lot of things I love, one after another, and. You get jaded and so annoyed with this crap because they just do it again and again. I love to see them fail when they try. Like they try and wokeify something and then it just bombs because they're not talented. They can only destroy. And what they make is just crap.
But there's a cloud to that silver lining. Is that when they destroy one thing, like, well, let's pick something else.
Yeah, then they go on to the next.
Yep.
Thing is, though, the original Lord of the Rings will stand as the greatest condemnation of this piece of crap when it does come out.
Yep.
Because it will stand as the point of reference and contrast to
Yep.
it. This will be the example of what is good and what. And this is the same with Wheel of Time. We had the books to show this is what was good. This is why this is so crap. Because, and then also we could point out the changes that were purely for political reasons. We did it multiple times in our Wheel of Time reviews where we see a change and we ask, why did they make that change? There's no objective reason except for a political thing because there's no objective improvement from the source material. It actually makes it fundamentally worse.
Yeah. And that's just the surface level stuff. We know they're going to add all this other crap that comes along with it.
We'll be applying the same standard. The changes in Lord of the Rings, we already see some objective things that we can say, that's a definite change. Galadriel is a warrior. Why did they make that change?
Because
they
need to make women feel powerful, and they're trying to shift.
That's so condescending to women.
They're trying to shift the paradigm to no, women powerful, strong adventurer.
This political movement.
Gender roles.
They hate gender roles and they hate traditional femininity.
Yep.
With a passion.
Which is weird, right?
They hate the role of the mother, the homemaker. Okay, and. Because they think all women should be slaves in a company working for the man and everything.
Yeah.
When being a stay-at-home mum, like for most women, is the most liberating, freeing, fulfilling thing. Guess what? Most women, they love having children, and raising children is one of the most fulfilling things they get. They love it. It's so good, but that is being vilified as this slavish, lesser thing, which I can't stand. I hate this thing. They have to be warriors, workers, be the men and everything. And this Galadriel warrior is just another example against the attack against femininity. I wonder how masculine she's going to act. This is why I love Alita Battle Angel. She was a kick-butt action hero who was so distinctly feminine. She embraced her femininity, her gentleness, her grace, everything like that. The overall story has flaws, but the character I love so much because it's one of the best examples of a true female action hero who embraces the femininity and doesn't need to act like a man.
Probably the truest one. Probably the most feminine hero that I've seen.
Isn't she great?
Yeah.
So good.
I watched it again the other day. It was a great movie.
I love it. I love it. And again, Lord of the Rings, just a sign where they hate traditional femininity. Like Galadriel in The Lord of the Rings how feminine. She was gentle, she
Yep.
was thoughtful, and she used her intelligence. She didn't have to be a butch action warrior person.
It's funny, right?
But that's not good enough.
Even
That's not good enough for this Lord of the Rings reboot, like TV
yeah,
show.
even in the movie, like Frodo's like, "I'll give you the ring if you want it," and she does the whole, "In place of a Dark Lord, I shall have a queen," right? And even after that, she's like, "Holy crap, that really isn't me." Oh, you know? Oh man.
Ah, gosh. It's depressing. All like now, Lord of the Rings. But like I said, the original source material will stand as the condemnation upon it, and we will. So, Gladriel, again, when it changed, we simply will point out why did they make that change. And again, like the dwarf queen and the black elf, why? They say it's for representation, which already we point out that's an inherently racist thing. If you think that people of other cultures can't identify with someone of a different skin tone, and it shows a disregard for European folklore, European heritage.
But
This is what Lord of the Rings is.
there's another reason why, right? Just as the same reason they want to add the whole... It's like they put in the things that they want to see. This is their idealized thing they want to see conditions of. And just like in the West, how you have tons of diversity, you'll have much more diversity in the West than you will in Africa.
This wasn't really a preface. It was a larger discussion about the reaction. I'm glad we did it, but we do want to go through the trailer and respond to it, because one of the things I've been told about the trailer is that there's no story.
Yeah, there's no story.
Like they're trying to basically say this show good because diversity and include anyway. So we will start playing.
Haven't you ever wondered what else is out there?
Okay.
I'm gonna go back.
What else is out there?
That's Numenor.
Numenor.
Now, I was watching a live stream from Amazon exactly. They had a bunch of people on, they were talking about this. They're going frame by frame. And it's funny, right? For the woke stuff, they're just like dead silent on it. But for this, they're like, I'm looking at this and I'm saying this is clearly Numenor. But because of the direction that we can see the mountain, it's, like they're going in depth. Like the wokeness, characters change to different colors. No, forget it.
This is the Polish. This is what Amazon is trying to sell it on. It's like, look how pretty and shiny it is. Look, it looks great, okay? But people with standards needs more than just shiny, flashy colours.
I may have watched Alana Pierce's reaction to this trailer and some of the reveals to stuff, and she goes, "It looks nice. Photography's beautiful. Oh, the sun, the way it lands on the people," and then she goes, "Well, aside from that, I'm not really feeling anything." So I'm like, okay, you're ignoring every other factor of the thing. Like, yes, it looks good, but there's no gravity to it.
It's like those. What are those React channels when they're doing Star Wars? Like, oh, he dropped a seismic charge, silly face.
Okay. You could have picked anything else. When they drop the seismic charge, it goes. Whoa, that's epic, man.
I know,
but they're doing it too often now.
No, they're not doing it.
I
want a Star Wars show.
It's so epic. Just all the seismic charges. Luke Skywalker, lightsaber.
No, I don't care about Luke Skywalker. I just want seismic charges.
No, look. I'm being obviously sarcastic.
I wasn't.
It is, but you're wrong because they try and sell it on that.
Well, but no, just look at it, right? Like. Where's the actual culture in those buildings? There's not.
It's all stone.
No. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the design culture.
Minas Tirith kind of arches.
Yeah, but look. Okay, you've got pointed arches there, rounded arches there, and then it's just all a big mess. Like it looks dwarvish, elf. It's just a mix of everything. I don't like it. Where's the arched roofs? Where's
Oz disapproves.
Tall towers? Where's the walls? I don't like it. It's stupid.
There's wonders in this world. Beyond our wandering.
Those dudes. What the hell are they doing?
No, hang on. There's wonders in our world beyond our wandering?
No. There's wonders in our world beyond our wandering.
It's horrible writing.
Yeah.
Who wrote that line? That is awful.
I know what the follow-up line's going to be.
Oh.
Do you want to know what the follow-up line's going to be? So that'll be a young girl hobbit talking to her father or another male, and the male's going to be like, "No, nonsense, there's nothing else out there. It's too dangerous. We're not going out there, you silly girl." And she's going to go off on an adventure. That's how it's going to be.
Oh, my goodness. No, that's a legitimately awful line, and you don't excuse it by, it's a kid saying it, therefore, she's like, no. This is your trailer. You're trying to depict it. And by the way, I actually had that experience in writing one of my earlier books, not published, but it was one of the later earlier books. So I was getting there, right?
So was it
But
earlier or later?
earlier than my published works, but later in my non-published works. Okay. And I had a character who I wanted her to have a broken way of speech, and so I wrote her with a really thick accent, and certain word choices that would cut off and everything. And I got great feedback saying, look, the way that you've chosen this character to speak makes them sound like an idiot. All right, they might not be an idiot, but the reaction of the audience, you need to be more mindful of this. It'll be, and she was absolutely right. Absolutely right.
You know who did it really good? Brandon Sanderson's Spook from Mistborn, and I love in Mistborn how he's like, it's like broken down southern streets. Like,
Is the where and where the go to the going?
yeah, exactly right. and then in Mistborn Wax and Wayne series, since can I spoil it? He became.
Oh, I don't. They can't spoil.
Okay, so I won't spoil it. But in the next one,
that speech becomes the aristocratic
High Imperial
aristocratic speech.
So they're all speaking like gangmen. It's funny.
So. Even if you have a child speaking, there are ways to depict childlike speaking that is not horribly like juxtaposed with there's wonders in this world that are beyond. And that is like such a warning sign of the quality of writers they have on the show already.
Yeah.
If the we are this close in the trailer, compare that to Galadriel's intro in
the world is
changing. I feel it.
Even little fella, Thunder Warrior, he sounds he like that's a way you can make a kid sound, right? He's perfectly like literate. He just has a different way of talking, but this is just crap. And also there's a reason why these commies make such bad writers. Is because they rip what words mean apart and stitch it back together again, right? And that's why Tolkien was such an incredible writer, is because he was a
linguist, man.
He's a linguist. He has a long history of where words come from.
He wrote a language and then wanted to build a world and mythology for the language, which ended up being Lord of the Rings.
I'm pretty sure he actually wrote 5 languages. I
I
went onto a translator.
But the language came first. Didn't he write Elven first? It's like, I need a world for this. And then he wrote the novels.
But because he
that's
knows...
world building.
He knows the phonetic history of these words and their meanings.
Oh, yeah.
And so he crafts just something incredibly beautiful. And these guys, because they're tearing everything apart, they can't do anything with it. Pathetic and sad.
Look, double use of words so close together is uncreative, it's jarring and stuff like that. And oftentimes when you're writing, I'm an author, yes, I'm commenting from an area of knowledge here, like pick another word that can mean the same thing, but it's not the same word, so it's not like the same words, unless it's like intended. Most times it does not read well, did not come off well here. Okay, so that was all the commentary just on the bad line, and that makes me so concerned about the quality of writing we're going to be seeing in this show.
Yeah.
It's like,
they all suck because they all come from the same place.
This is basic stuff, okay? But now we see people with antler ears on their back. Are they hunters or are they monsters?
Don't know what they're doing, carrying around 50 pounds of antler ear.
Strange, wandering people. Hang on, I want to go back. Was there any settlements? No, it's just it's land. Generic.
Oh wait, is that what's on her head?
I think it's like some type of decoration, because is that like something tied underneath there?
Yeah, so it's probably like a half foot, which is their hobbit, which didn't exist in the story.
Because I can't do what you're saying. I can feel it. There's wonders beyond wondering this world. Is that Galadriel?
Yes. Now, she did leave Tolkien. I've heard mixed things about this, right? So what she's doing there is she's leading a bunch of elves over a certain landmass to try and get to a place. She was there, but she was also there with a bunch of warriors and adventurers. In this, it makes her look like she's the leader.
Yeah, this is kick butt woman.
Yeah.
This really makes me feel that Galadriel's going to be the main character. She's going to be kicking butt, taking names. Elrond's going to be a support character. We have to listen to Galadriel.
Looks like a Rey character.
Oh yeah, man.
they're turning Galadriel into a Mary Sue. It's the same crap we see over and over again.
Which is why I'm always saying it's gonna be the same thing. Wait, no, Shad. Let's give it a chance.
I gave it a chance. Now I've seen the trailer's evidence.
Yeah, but this is just the trailer, though. You know, like let's give the show a chance.
I was like that with Wheel of Time. I admit.
Never
and I was
again.
Well, probably not actually.
If you prepare yourself, you won't be disappointed.
Gosh, this is just such a warning shot. Now, I don't mind. Like, obviously, we love female action heroes. Okay, they're awesome. The problem here is that this is changing who Galadriel was, giving her the successes, the victories that belong to the male characters and stuff for political reasons. This is what it really looks like, and she's like gonna be a total Mary Sue. She's scaling an icy cliff with a dagger.
And it looked really bad, the effects. Go back a little bit and watch her hands. Watch her hands when you do it.
It's off. It looks
with gauntlets.
Yeah. But seriously, go back and watch her hands.
Friggin' armor! That better be like elven armor that weighs nothing, because if she's scaling an icy cliff in armor...
Doesn't look like elven armor. Does it? Does it look
it's pretty thin links. That looks very, very...
Yeah, but they don't wear chainmail and, like, their gauntlets are bronzed. They use gilded...
We'll see.
Take it back. Wash your hands.
The effect was...
No, just let it play out. Take it back and let it play out. See how loose her hand is on that?
Yeah, I know. She's not support. Like the fact... she's lying down. She's resting on her elbows on the thing. If this was supporting her weight, she'd be like arms stretched out.
They couldn't get a rock wall with a green screen.
Casually lying there, down like this on her elbows, because she's so powerful and strong. They're turning into a Mary Sue already.
Yeah.
Is that we can point out the problems with this shot.
Yeah.
She's resting on her elbows. She's like it's unreal. It breaks immersion as a result. All these things, right? It's very obvious and easy. Like, why aren't the creators picking up on just details like this? They should be hyper aware of things that I would not pick up on.
Yeah.
Let alone things that are so... But
just as they don't recognize when they're being racist or when they have no principles, when you can, they can't recognize these things. They're blind to it.
Well, it just shows the quality, like, already how talented are these people that are like, because they weren't being hired on meritocracy. Because I think actually most audiences when they're watching this won't see that and think she's just lying down, she's not hanging off anything. But maybe they, I don't know.
I just thought this looks weird. Doesn't look like she's holding on.
So I heard a rumor of this scene is that someone escaping the fall of some Empire, Numenor or something.
Depends. I think Numenor fell just before the end of the Second Age, didn't it?
Okay.
Or was it halfway through?
I'm nowhere near up on the lore of the Silmarillion. I think it is.
Yeah, Silmarillion wasn't meant as a book.
I know, it was like a history world-building document.
It was more like a wiki page. Oh. Okay. I want to say something about this, right? Not only does that effect look awful, but they could have done it so better if they had the arrow just land right next to him in real time. He grabs it and then uses it. That would have been better.
I can't remember if Legolas ever caught an arrow.
No, he never caught an arrow.
But if he did, I would criticize it just as much.
He never caught an arrow.
Is using a reverse grip? Okay. Yes, you could shoot that way. All right.
It's dumb. An elf wouldn't do that. An elf would literally just go, bang, bang. They'd be going
the most
automatic
efficient way of shooting for an adventure, in my opinion, is on the outside of the bow. But look, I'm an archer. I've done this a lot, and I have lots of videos exploring it. Actually, it's much faster. Okay, and there's a lot of advantages to it actually. But I'm not. People can shoot this way, so
it's bad though. It's not really good. That's Gil-galad, apparently.
Yeah. So, elf?
Does he look like an elf? Not
no,
really.
He doesn't look like an elf.
Yeah.
There's Galadriel leading
ahead
the
of the pack.
charge! She's going to be the main character. going to be the lead character.
That looks like Rohan. Rohan wasn't established at this point, but that does kind of give you Rohan vibes. But hey, right? You know Lord of the Rings, the first ones. So you know why all the elves were so beautiful in that? Is because they used all of New Zealand's models. Every professional model that was in New Zealand, they used in that movie for elves.
Because elves are supposed to look a certain way, are you
They're
saying?
supposed to be perfect. Perfect facial symmetry.
I wouldn't say perfect, but slender, taller.
No. Literally go back and watch the movies. They are all literally beautiful.
I know that.
Yeah. And they've all got long hair, fair skin, you know, elf stuff. She doesn't even look like an elf. She has more in common with Eowyn than she does with Kate Winslet.
At the moment, it seems like that.
Yeah.
Who's that? Is that her again? No.
That's not.
Oops, too far.
It's wearing the same sort of stuff, though.
Yeah, that's like the same climbing outfit almost.
It's a man, though.
Yeah. And that's random Middle-earth monster. Not probably random. You would hope they would be pulling a lot of this from the lore. And people might be saying, that's a certain thing for me.
You'd hope they'd pull at least some stuff from Lord of the Rings and put it in this. Okay, so that's...
So, random elf place.
That might be where they... That's either in... where are they from again? Undying Lands? Or that might be where they establish Rivendell? I don't know.
Okay, yep.
That's Balin, however you pronounce it. He's a dwarf. He's the only dwarf that looks dwarfish that
The
we've
guy
seen so
that
far.
founded Moria.
No, this is like
My
his...
cousin.
No, that was Balin like the 4th or 5th.
Okay.
This is a descendant.
Because I was going to say, dwarves don't live that long.
This is a descendant from the original dwarf. Dwarf.
Okay.
Like the one dwarf, you know. That's Elrond.
It looks like me.
Yeah, it looks like Nathan. Oh, go forward. That one looks like me.
Menacing Elrond. He doesn't look like Elrond, does he?
Doesn't.
And what is he wearing? Frilly... Some type of frilly outfit.
And
It's
what's
not
that
armor.
sword? That's not an elvish blade.
I'm reluctant to call it a sword because the handle's so bad. If that's the handle of a sword, I would be... It doesn't... It looks too round. It obviously has edges to it, like a hexagon, but it looks like an even hexagon, which is an awful handle for a sword. It needs to be oval, flat in some way to be able to index a blade. Like, there were rare examples of rounded handles, but they're knowing like a proper good sword should have an indexable handle. So that's like,
Oh, look, it's Oprah.
yeah, is that the dwarf woman? I think
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
dwarf woman. She's got the things.
The Doritos.
The Doritos. Well, that's definitely no beard. She might have sideburns.
No, dwarves have... Every single dwarf is born with a full beard.
So, I have a bias here, right? I find beards on women repulsive.
Same here.
I don't think and I get dwarves, and so if I was making this, I think I'd have to respect. Yeah, you should respect the original source material.
But they could find a way to make it look more feminine.
Possibly.
Like with different jewelry or something like that. There is a way to make it look more feminine.
This would be one area where I could be more... this is just my own subjective take, all right? And a lot of Puritans would probably disagree with me. I would be okay with having no beards on women dwarves, just for the visual aspect. I was okay with Aragorn having a full-length sword in Lord of the Rings, all right, because it was cooler and it was better for many things, and just for the visual aspect. Because this is where it's an interesting discussion where a lot of defenders are okay with having a beardless dwarf, when you think they'd be on board with it because of certain views they have about gender. And I feel because the reality is the visual stereotypes of gendered appearance is ingrained in all of us, all right? The visual indicators of that is a masculine look, that is a feminine look, are very important. And because for me, I would want women, dwarven women, to have those same indicators, and a beard is too far. I would want them to be able to be identifiable as women more distinctly. And for me, if it was my choice and I wasn't working on Lord of the Rings, like my own dwarves in my own fantasies don't have beards, of course, because those are the reasons I give, okay? Because Tolkien was so specific about it in many areas, I feel you need to respect the source material over your own preferences, even if you think it's objectively worse.
Yeah.
For me, it is more objectively worse, more unappealing for dwarven women to have beards. I don't like beards on women.
Well, like
because
in The Hobbit, right? There was dwarves without beards, and I couldn't tell they were dwarves when I was watching it half the time. I'd see
just to like a 3 o'clock shadow. Like,
yeah, like, is that a dwarf? Looks like a regular dude.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
But like, if it's a dwarf woman and it's been written down multiple times they have beards, give them a bloody beard and work around that problem. You could probably find something incredibly creative if you did.
Yeah. Out of all the changes, though, this is one that I probably have the least issue with because of my own bias and preference.
Yeah. But problems are an opportunity for creativity. Like the first few Lord of the Rings movies had $90 million, right? And they're much better than the movies that had hundreds of millions of dollars. It's because they had to be creative with stuff. They could have done it with this too.
Like, I was going to say, you could take away the beards from the women and not change anything in the story, but you actually do, because there is now a canonical statement that explains something rather important in the Lord of the Rings lore that was delivered by Gimli, where most people think that there are no dwarven women.
Because they're almost indistinguishable from men unless
because
you're a
they
dwarf.
look so much like dwarven men that they just think dwarves sprout out of the ground like daisies. And Aragorn, then it's the beards, right? There is a canonical thing. That's actually an established thing. That's why most people think dwarven women don't exist in Lord of the Rings. And so if you were to change that, you'd be contradicting, and this is now contradicting, a fundamental established law in Lord of the Rings that most people think dwarven women don't exist because of the vision. They look the same.
They could have gone
And so
around
now this is literally contradicting Gimli, because in this, it would be pretty easy to pick out a dwarven woman now. It's just the ones without beards.
Yeah.
And everyone would know that dwarven women exist. But according to Gimli, most people think dwarven women don't exist. There's a big contradiction there.
And again, they could have got around this problem by, I don't know, having the women have much more intricate, like, sculpted facial hair.
What if they
jewelry.
tied their beards with their hair?
Or jewelry, stuff like that.
Feminine.
Just make it more beautiful.
Man, I'd still it'd look awful.
It would look unsettling.
Yeah.
But they're dwarves. We're not meant to find dwarves unless you're into that sort of thing,
Look, look, this is the thing, right? People can be attracted to what they want. If you like beards on women, you do you. But how dare you try and force me to change my own preferences? I thought we're allowed to be attracted to what we want to, right? We're just born that way, right?
Gimli even said
if you think that I need to, what is it? Put myself through conversion therapy to be attracted, to be able to be attracted to women with beards, you support conversion therapy. That's like, I'm allowed to be attracted to my own preferences, and beards on women look, or like, you know why? You know why I find beards are awful?
Because it looks masculine.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm not gay!
But Gimli said it himself when he was absolute piss drunk in the third movie. It's the dwarves who go swimming with little hairy women. And then he passed out. Like they're hairy, they're furry.
So, I do agree. This is a miss. It's contradicting law. And Tolkien was so explicit about it. Yeah. Like I said, though, out of all the changes, this is the one I have the least issue with because I find it so I have more issues with what they're doing with Galadriel, what they're doing with the cultural backgrounds, the racial mix of this, mythology, and the fact that it's a clear sign that they're appropriating this to push their own agenda. They're not going to care about the story. Because what have we seen so far is like, there's wonders in the world. And did she say, and I'm going to go see him or something like that?
No, there's wonders in the world beyond our wandering.
And then she said, and I'm going to see, I can feel it. I can feel it. Yeah. Something like that. And that's it. It's a world with wonders. And then everything they're showing here is kick butt woman, guy running away from monster, Aragorn, and now look at how diverse we are. And look, random dwarf, random person.
Even like a modern day trailer.
There's
made by
nothing
some
in
fan fiction
this.
person. Yeah, but like think about it, right? If you took shots from the Lord of the Rings movies and tried to make a similar trailer, it would be 1,000 times better, just based on the quality of the writing, the composition, everything. Pathetic.
I don't know what the story. There's no conflict. And look, I don't like trailers that give away too much, but at least tell us what the premise is, something to hook us. This is just like they're just like, we're Lord of the Rings, so you must watch us.
It's like the first Force Awakens trailer. There was just nothing there. Like, oh, look, a spaceship. Oh, look, a lightsaber.
And, you know, the only thing they're probably going to get out of this, they'll ignore everything that people are really saying about the problems and the, you know, how they've appropriated for their political messaging, because they can't change that. It's already there. And they wouldn't change anything that they wanted to. It's too late. But the next trailer, they're like, we didn't reveal enough. And so they'll probably share everything. Like, it's like, oh, that's like, you're an elf. Is that Gladriel again, though?
Maybe.
That's her. Yeah, that's Gladriel. And it's like she was trying to hide she's an elf, but it looks like it's on a wreck again. I don't know.
Are the ears less pointy? Or was that just me?
No, they look about the same.
Okay.
They're not very pointed in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
They're oval, yeah.
Naked
Naked man, probably the shipwreck.
half naked man, yeah, trying to save someone. Oh, there's a lot of flashes then. All right, so
There's some dwarves. They look like dwarves.
they look like
That's
dwarves.
a dwarf right there.
And traditional Lord of the Rings, one of them might be a woman, and we wouldn't be able to tell.
That one might be a woman.
Yeah, exactly.
That one might be a woman.
They
could all be women.
They could all be women. They're supposed to be almost
You
indistinguishable.
see, that just goes to show you shouldn't assume their gender.
But now we can, because the beardless ones.
Yeah.
He breaks a rock.
On the rock is written the word patriarchy, and then he smashes it.
So, guy jumping through air. What's that? Is it a cool shot? I don't know. He's in chains. He's imprisoned.
Oh
somewhere.
yeah. The next shot is what annoys me. Look at that. Look at their armor. It does not look elven at all.
It doesn't look like the elven armor we saw in Lord of the Rings. Actually,
The one in Lord of the Rings is so much better. Get the Lord of the
look,
Rings.
actually, no, I agree with you. That is very European style. It has European style pauldrons, breastplate, where they actually tried to give the breastplates in the original Lord of the Rings films a very distinct elven look with the overlaying lines of thing.
The helmets should have some sort of metallic mohawk
Look,
on it.
this guy's wearing what looks to be a sallet. That guy looks to be some type of bar boot with a nasal guard.
Go check out the armor while it's recording. From Lord of the Rings. Just search Lord of the Rings elf
We
armor.
could bring it up because I remember what it looks
No,
like.
but you'll be able to point out more issues.
The original Lord of the Rings armor?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were issues, but it was more distinctly elven in terms of...
No, but that's my point, is you compare the two.
Oh, yeah, it'll be night and day. Like, they look like, just gilded medieval fantasy armor.
And look at him. He's crying
Is he an elf, though? Are these guys supposed to be elves?
They're elves.
I don't know.
He's got the pointed ears.
Oh, yeah, that's a pointed ear. You're right.
He's screaming and crying during a war.
Screaming and crying. He's like, he's mean.
You know what's happened?
Just stop hitting me, orc.
No. What's happened is Galadriel has dived into the enemy lines and she's taken out tons of people. And he's like, Galadriel!
You go, girl! I'm gonna die here, but you slay, queen!
And that's half foot. And I'm guessing that's Gandalf's hand.
My understanding of the lore is that hobbits weren't even... They migrated to Middle-earth way later.
No, I don't think...
Or they evolved later. I don't know.
They evolved, yeah. They're about 2,000... No, probably like 1,000 years or 2,000 years after this.
Oh, yeah, so they didn't exist.
Yeah, but they said...
This is really important because Treebeard didn't even know what hobbits were when he met them.
Yeah.
They're actually more relatively new in the... in Middle-earth in terms of the other races.
Sounds like orc mischief.
But now this is a... Why? Just because hobbits, we need hobbits?
They said why, and that's exactly that. They said it wouldn't feel like Middle-earth without hobbits. So here's the half-foots.
Look, yes, it's Lord of the Rings, but it's not supposed to be like the Fellowship of the Ring. It's a different story. It's supposed to be a different time. There are supposed to be differences because of the time period difference.
They said before the king, before the fellowship, before the ring.
But not before hobbits.
But not before hobbits. Well, actually, yeah, before hobbits. Not before half foot.
Oh my goodness. They don't care about the fact that it won't feel like... It shows their incompetence. You think you can't make a Lord of the Rings thing feel like Lord of the Rings without hobbits? Are you kidding me?
They've managed to have all of the Lord of the Rings stuff and it doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Rings of Power!
Yeah, we destroyed it.
Yeah, that was crap. Like I got very little out of that. It was just member berries where we're trying to make flashy things and nothing of true substance or things. And also there was a very distinct feel of kick butt Galadriel. She was the only kind of recurring character you recognize. Elrond was only shown once. Galadriel was shown, I think, 4 separate times. One riding into battle, one climbing a wall like a slay queen. There might have been one other, the revealing of the ear, and there was, I think, one other scene with her in. Wow, this is this is so going to be the Galadriel show.
Yep, from the shots we've gotten. Also, it just feels very fake to me. All the swords and the armor, like I feel like when I watched Lord of the Rings, I felt like I was in that world. And people were saying it's because it was filmed on digital, this new series, so it feels more fake. But looking at the costumes and stuff, in the characters with how pretty some of them look in, big combat situations, it just doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Ruins immersion.
There's not that... I'm not saying everyone should be covered in dirt, but in battle, when you've been adventuring for a while, there should be this kind of gritty...
Yeah, your hair should be slicked back perfectly for that pose.
It's Witter Productions in New Zealand. They did all the...
This isn't Wetter, it's Witter? Or
it's Wetter.
Well, it's spelt Wetter, but the animal that they're calling in New Zealand is called it's pronounced Witter. Anyway, because I'm Kiwi, I know that. I've seen a Witter. It looks like basically a grasshopper covered in Daedric armor.
Okay.
I kid you not. Like, they don't have spiders, they don't have snakes, they've got the Witter.
The Witter.
Yeah, that thing's scary. I'm a Witter.
Careful of the Witter.
Yeah, they don't have 2 blades on their back. But yeah, so Witter Productions did all of the props and costumes and everything like that for Lord of the Rings. And it was like their first massive thing. And they did an incredible job. They should have used them for this.
Well, they didn't use Witter?
No. They probably didn't. Why use Witter?
Yeah, Amazon arrogant, just like, we can do it all ourselves.
Witter is incredible at world building. They also did what's the Ghost in the Shell? They did that. They've done so much stuff.
They did Narnia.
Did Narnia?
Phenomenal.
Yeah, everything that they do, the world is consistent and very believable.
It looks great. There's a lot of criticisms that you can lay at the Hobbit trilogy, but it looked great.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing. A lot of that stuff was digital in terms of the effects, but with Lord of the Rings, it was all either miniature stuff.
They did a lot of practical stuff, like Lake Town and everything, and the Mirkwood and stuff. That was all amazing.
Yeah, true. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, what a tragedy! Lord of the Rings being.
It's an offering to communism. They've burnt it.
And if you think communism went out of left field, watch our previous Lord of the Rings discussion. We explained it. It's oh gosh, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And to end us off, I want to read a comment that was posted on the Shadow Posting Facebook page. This was posted by Mohammed I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it.
Have a look.
Mohammed
Tausif. Yeah, Tausif.
This is an update to my last post. I get it. I understand Tolkien now. For the lovers of Tolkien's work, Middle-earth is like Wakanda or Tsushima. You expect Japanese people in a samurai movie, otherwise you'd hate it too. You want Indian folk in a Bollywood movie, otherwise what's the point? You want to see black people in Wakanda, likewise white people in Middle-earth. Fans of Tolkien feel like they are forced to feel embarrassed for their culture, as if they are to be ashamed for the racism done by other people. I can relate to that, actually. I'm a Muslim boy with a very heavy Muslim name. A random comment I post and random people start calling me a terrorist, a pedophile, how many mothers do you have, etc., as if I'm supposed to feel ashamed or embarrassed or to suffer for something I did not do, and that I need to change my ways, or that I need to prove my innocence to you. But I don't. Neither do Tolkien fans. I'm a Tolkien fan, and I love the fact that they are all white and that there's no sex in the films. Okay? Yeah. There's a guy that gets it. Okay? Understands that there is a desire to have a kind of cultural mythology that is distinctly related to your own heritage. And everyone can enjoy it, but you do want it depicted in accordance to what that heritage comes from. Okay, and there is a racial ethnic kind of connection to it, and changing it is as insulting and racist as changing someone else's cultural mythology or background, whether it's Asian, African, Indian, any number of races, right?
And also, right, just beyond that though, there's the story, right? So it's set in the fantasy world, which is set in the medieval past, but with magic, right? There was racial homogeneity. How's that? It was racially homogenous, right? And so for us,
well, sorry, in which parts of the history?
well, just in the past, in general, in
largely
almost
so.
all places.
I mean, there are examples, rare examples, but there are examples of black people appearing in Europe in the past. But
it was so rare that they had to mention it in history.
Yes. And it also depends. The closer you are to Africa, Egypt, and everything like that, the higher up thing. And so you find more black people appearing in the Mediterranean and stuff. But the further north you go up, the rarer it became because travel was hard. And when you get to, say, Britain, you know,
and that's the thing,
they're
which
almost
is an island,
like
next to France.
In the medieval period. Very few examples. There are the rare examples, but the thing is, if you wanted to be just representative of what that time period was, you would basically in nearly any medieval story depicting in the northern areas as well, if you just on the percentage base, like if you had like 100 people in the film, right, and you wanted to, if you were just saying, let's do the math, right, we'll have an accurate percentage thing, there was less than 1% of black people in there, you would never reach the 1% enough to justify having a black person in the 100, like out of the percentage, you have 100 people, and to justify a black person in that thing, you need a population of 1% of black people to justify, to have the film reflect accurately the racial diversity of that period.
I don't even think
to history, you wouldn't even get that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be 1%.
No, exactly.
It'd be like 0.
Yeah, it doesn't even reach 1%. You would need like several thousand medieval films to reach at the same kind of racial representation that existed in very like old medieval periods, right? To justify even having one black person in the film, unless they're specifically mentioned in history, like Saint Maurice. I think it's Saint Maurice. There's a saint in medieval. Actually, so technically he's still a saint, right? And he's a black saint, and so there are a lot of depictions of this black saint in European armor and stuff. And this is an aside. It's just a really interesting study on how black people were perceived in medieval times, and there wasn't a lot of like racist, you're inferior things. They actually, a lot of the depictions of black people in medieval art, they often are wearing really fine clothes or in a prominent position, because if they reached Europe, they probably were traders of some type, and they would have been wealthy and things. And because they were traders, people were they were more accepting and willing. Like medieval period, in many aspects, there were very little cases of racism against black people, but there was racism against people of other kingdoms and cultures, like England against France. There was a lot more racism against Jewish populations in the medieval period as well. They copped it a bit, but nowhere near as much against black people, and they were very rare as well to even justify having a bias or animosity between race.
When the first settlers came to Australia and met Aboriginals had two opinions of them. First, they thought, are these ghosts? Second, they didn't know. Well, second, because obviously they're all tribal people. They'll have like tons of like body hair, facial hair, and stuff like that. And they're all wearing they're all clean shaven with wigs. The guys, the white people. Do you know what they did to prove they were men? They proved they were men. They pulled their cocks out. Imagine that. That's a hell of a handshake.
It's just hilarious because I was reading this before. There's a stereotype, and when I'm playing D&D or a fantasy thing, I have a character who's a bit more oblivious. I play them that they think all elves they meet are women because they always look feminine, and even the male elves, they just keep calling them she and her because they just look so feminine.
I'm betting like that.
And to prove it, it's just funny that a reaction to because
Aboriginal guy sees this white man's penis, and he's like, mine's bigger. That's a stereotype. No, anyone want to contend that? No one's going to contend that one, are they?
Oz admits he has small penis.
Compared to your run-of-the-mill black guy? Yeah, probably. So do you. They're probably taller than me too. Like, stereotypes are based on they exist for a reason.
Yeah, we're not saying there aren't exceptions. There are always obviously exceptions.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't make me
guess
racist
what?
for thinking my Chinese neighbor ate my cat.
People are different, and you'll find certain trends between different ethnic groups because there are differences, even though we're all humans and yes, all accept and all that stuff. So yeah, okay, we're kind of at the end now. I think
We finally got there.
We
we
did
got
it.
there. Boy, a lot to discuss on it. We look forward to reading your comments. Thanks for joining us on The Watch, and until next time, stay watchful.